Hello, everybody. Welcome to For the Fans. Tonight's coverage of Big Brother Canada 10, episode number 22. What a season it's been. And this was another awesome episode. Joining me today is the wonderful Kevin Gilreath and
Hey,
the beautiful stud himself, Josh Vitello. What's up?
Not much, Sheldon. Another great episode indeed. I can't wait to run through it.
So before we get into it, first thoughts. What do you think of this week's episode, or the Monday episode at least?
This episode was kind of like a little bit of it was predictable, but it definitely leads something to potential foreshadowing of what could happen. We'll talk about what moves potentially could be making in the future. But the way that I see it right now, so far, I'm more so enjoyed this episode than compared to last week's, which I believe was a little more so boring compared to this one.
I loved it. I hated parts. One of the parts that I loved was watching Martin have no friends. One is the loneliest number that you ever knew.
That's so sad.
That was my favorite part.
That's so evil. Kevin, you're evil.
I mean, to be fair, Marty did that to himself, to be honest. I mean, he could have had the opportunity to have more people in his corner, but what does he do? He keeps screwing people like Gino over multiple times, and I'm just like, you really did this to yourself.
And Martin looking so upset. Let's just get into it because I'm ready to talk.
Yeah. Let's go.
So before we get into that HOH sadness for Marty, Moose goes home, and obviously we see our girl Summer looking straight into that camera in the DR saying, Summer is here for the people, and the people are here for Summer. Summer survives another week. Are we shocked?
No, man. She was sitting next to Moose. We knew she was going to be safe. Other than not though, without a furious attempt by JC Lynn to take out Summer. That did happen.
Tell us about that.
So, I mean, okay, as we know from the last episode, JC Lynn is not the biggest fan of Summer.
Absolutely
because of her flirtations with
one
Mr. Gino. And the JC Lynn's not a fan. So in the last couple days leading up to the eviction of Moose, JC Lynn was trying to figure out if the votes could be there to take out Summer. And unfortunately, she was not able to rally the votes, but she attempted to because she would rather have Summer go for her own reasons and not for game reasons, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, which is kind of interesting of why they didn't show a snippet or at least a DR about JC Lynn trying to push for Moose to stay and get rid of Summer. But I guess it was not relevant to the story. I don't know. I thought it was relevant to the story when they mentioned about the love triangle in the last episode, but
that was very relevant to that story. Because they were trying to see if things were going to get going. Because I mean, at that point, so you have to think about how the edit for the episodes go, right?
Right.
Monday night in Big Brother time. It is the veto ceremony. The episode comes out Wednesday, so they have up until Monday. They don't actually necessarily know where the vote is at that point. So you're showing that just in case we're going to pick up for the Thursday episode to show JC Lynn picking up steam to send Summer home. But since it never picked up steam, there's no point in showing that. But you show it on the Wednesday episode because this could be a through line to show on Thursday. But as you're continuing to watch the dailies from Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, you're like, oh, this is nothing. We might revisit this later. But as of right now,
I mean, that's kind of fair, I guess. Maybe they could show a little bit of montage in the future episode when Summer is finally on the block and there's an opportunity to take out Summer, and then JC Lynn just try to throws in multiple attempts saying, I tried so many times to get out Summer, but she's still here. That would have been nice.
Or the opposite. JC Lynn's on the block and Summer goes, I want that man to myself.
yes.
I want him for
me.
They
need to show that. That'd be funny.
Right? And I think this is one of these things in Big Brother that if it becomes important, they will do a bit of a replay. Day 24, this is when Summer touched Gino's ear for the first time. Or whatever it was. Or his oversized nipple.
I love Big Brother for that because of the dailies, because of the show. Like Survivor, let's say the three of us are playing Survivor. At the end, we already know Sheldon won Survivor, so they're going to build a narrative to
Correct.
show how Sheldon played a great game to win the game, which is smart, right?
Yeah.
But Big Brother is happening as we speak, so we think Sheldon's winning. So let's show the Sheldon stuff. Oh no, Sheldon's an outcast. Let's show where Sheldon went wrong, so that way when it comes time for Sheldon to go home, we can say, there it is. Those are the reasons. When in reality, they don't know what's happening from day to day because it's happening live as we speak, which is one thing that's like super cool to me about Big Brother.
Yeah.
So we then start seeing this really interesting scene with JL and with Gino. And I think this is really a testament to how good of a team they truly are together. Because I think they truly trust each other. They know they're working together. It's actually more than just a flirtmance or a showmance. It's a real partnership in this
It's
game.
a relationship. It's a relationship.
It's real. And I'm sure no matter what happens in the game, they will be friends forever. And JL basically says, Marty looks a little pissed. And again, Gino surprises me because every time Gino does something smart or says something smart, or I'm like, what? Where did that come from? You're not just looks. And Gino suggests, you know what? Maybe JL, you need to go tell him, or we need to go tell him that you actually had that power. And we did have the chance to get him off, and we didn't. Just to really make sure Marty doesn't go crazy, doesn't ruin anything if Marty wins that HOH. And, we see that sort of, what do you think about this move? Gino smart?
I think that was a damage controlling move because, like, before the eviction happened with Moose getting out the door, Moose was trying to spread out the rumors saying that Gino and JL were planning to backdoor Marty to potentially flip the vote on the Summer. However, because the votes weren't really there, it still got Marty paranoid, which means potentially Marty could potentially flip on Gino or JL. Because JL recognizing that, Gino was like, okay, listen, we can still patch this. Let's reveal to Marty that you found the secret power, so that way he could just calm down. We could have had the opportunity to backdoor you, but we didn't. I think that was a good damage controlling move. Could Marty reveal that to people? Probably. I mean, like it could potentially put more of a target on JL revealing that kind of information because we know Marty is so loose-lipped. But I think it was a good solid move to
does it matter?
From Marty.
I don't even think it matters anymore.
I don't think it matters anymore, to be honest, because the veto thing was a 1 week use. But
it's not even the fact that the veto thing was a 1 week use. The people that really wanted Marty gone were Gino and Tracy Lynn, Josh and Betty. Summer also felt that way, mainly because they had to put Summer on the block instead.
So basically, almost the entire house except for Kevin and Helena.
No, but that's important because Moose goes home. And so if it gets out during this week, during Marty's HOH, the only people that are going to be mad, because there's only going to be 7 people coming into this next week after Marty's no longer doing whatever he's doing, right?
Yeah.
So there's only 7 people. So even if people find out, there's not enough to really do anything about it. So it doesn't really matter if people were to find out after that. In addition, I thought it was a great move by Gino to try to not just try to get a hold of Marty and tell him. I think that part is great, but I think the most important part is that he tried to get a hold of Marty and tell him before the HOH competition.
Wow, like he was on a crunch block.
He was definitely on the clock.
Seconds.
He was under the gun. And I loved it because by doing that, like he said, it makes it look like it's not a reactionary thing. If Marty were to win the veto or the HOH, it's one to let him know ahead of time, no matter what happens, I need you to know that I could have gunned for you, and I didn't. But I could have. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I loved about how they actually edited this, and I don't want to go into too much of the production stuff, although Kevin, I know you love it, but it is very rare in Big Brother we hear Big Brother or a producer who's actually talking to the house guests. And I have to say, I love it. I love that that when they got into the HOH competition, it wasn't one of them explaining the rules. We heard the producer explaining. I loved it so much more than a random person in the house reading off a piece of paper being cheesy and annoying. What do you like? It worked. What did y'all think? It worked for me, at least.
Yeah, I think for the situation, because they had to show the scene with Big Brother saying the competition is about to begin. And then when you see that Gino was trying to get a hold of Marty, right down, just between the two of them, without nobody else knowing that both of them are talking, that was like very crucial to the story, because I bet like if that happened before BB announced that, they probably would have showed it. But because it was very crucial to the story, and because like it kind of gives us a little bit of a understanding of how Big Brother operates through their challenges and with the house guests when they try to set up for the challenges, it was beautifully well done. I like the way that they handled that.
I mean, and not just that, it heightened the importance, right? Because you hear the producer say, house guests, you have 3 minutes. The HOH competition will be beginning in 3 minutes. And you're like, oh no, he still hasn't spoken to him yet. He doesn't have enough time to explain. There's not enough time. So you're watching him like sit there and wait because Gino's not going to compete. And Marty is still in that headspace that it's him against the world. So you want to let him know that you got a friend in me. You know what I'm saying? And I loved knowing that there was a time crunch. And then, you know, it's unfair that they get to speak in French still, but
so
they sit there.
I have to, sorry, Tintra, I loved it because now that Tanisha's out of the house, nobody else speaks French. So it's absolutely 100% complete secret language.
Correct.
I was just thinking, if I was a Big Brother player and I would speak French, I would not tell a soul. Nobody. I would let the Frenchies talk to each other, and I would listen and pretend like I'm, brushing my teeth in the kitchen. Like, I loved it, and I love it. Like, it's so brilliant. It's so much fun. I love it. My favorite part of seeing sort of the behind the scenes stuff is we saw where they got their clothing. We saw how the clothing comes in a little baggie. I don't know. I love that sort of when I was in theater, I used to love being backstage even more than on stage because I love seeing how things happen. So even more exciting than that, I love this competition. This is Mount HOH. They're in this cold, this harsh environment on a nice slope and getting wet, getting freezing, windy, whatever. And all they have to do, it's actually relatively simple. Hold on to some pegs, hold on to the sides, and make sure you don't fall down the slide. Simple as that. Going into this competition, who did y'all think would win?
I mean, Marty or John. Sorry, go.
No, I thought Summer would win.
Oh,
I thought JL would win.
I thought Marty or Josh were gonna get it because, like, looking at the rest of the people, like, I'm trying to think about like who can physically hold on for dear life. And
Josh doesn't believe in women.
I never said that. I'm just like, I was thinking more like logically being like who can hold themselves up. And like I looked at people like Kevin and Summer and Benny. I'm like, there's no way that
I didn't think Kevin was gonna do too well. Kevin's a pretty heavy guy comparatively, so that doesn't make sense for him. I thought I'm with Sheldon. I thought JC Lynn because of her figure skater background.
Yeah, figure skater background.
We didn't think that the figure skater is the legs and not the arms, but
fair enough. Genius. She says that, and that's smart. I thought Summer would because Summer's smaller and she does have some muscle on her. And I felt like that she would be able to hold on.
You've been watching her?
She's been chilling. She's been hanging out, man. She was throwing stuff before. I felt like she was going to be able to hang up there long. And to be fair to every single one of them, they, outside of Helena and Kevin, they did hang on very long.
Yeah, they did.
Listen, this was anybody who's heavier. This is a hell of a challenge. Yeah. I think, and it is not a surprise to me that who we'll say in a second is the end. But we see it got there. So Kevin fell off first. He was a little embarrassed, which is fine.
And I think Kevin would have not been embarrassed if he like stayed up there because Kevin's going to be first regardless, right? Based on how this goes. But if Kevin's up there for half an hour, 45 minutes, I don't think he's too upset. But I think 8 minutes is tough.
Yeah.
What's interesting, and then Helena comes off, and what's interesting to me is they were chilling. Like they were like nothing to worry about, doesn't matter. And we'll talk a little bit about their relationship and their place in the game because they have done a masterful job. Yes. Gino falls asleep, starts snoring. Kevin, in his brilliance, says, "I'm starting to have my own endurance comp here, having to listen to all his snoring." Summer's next. Final phase kicks in where they can no longer
wait. But Summer, Sheldon, you're burying the lead here. Summer's next at over 4 hours.
And interestingly, they didn't really talk about it, but she hit her head really hard when she fell down.
I heard that. I was like, ooh.
But yeah, it was a fair amount of time.
Over 4 hours she was up there, and she was the next to fall. Helena fell at over an hour. Kevin at 8 minutes. 4 hours. Summer was up
Insane.
there along with JC Lynn, Josh, Betty, Marty. The rest of them were all up there for over 4 hours. That is remarkable. None of them should hang their head at that
No.
because that beats almost every US time, right? There's no one up there for 4 hours in BBUS. And so you would think that would be enough to win the thing. So yes, Summer was next, but I don't want you to short shift her.
Well, fine, she did
4
well.
hours.
Okay,
Yeah.
Listen. I'm starting to think like Kylie a bit. I am a little bit over Summer. I'm sorry, don't hate
I don't
me.
know why.
I don't think so.
And Betty is really starting to grow on me.
It doesn't have to be an either or. It doesn't have to be
It's an either or. I pick one girl and one girl alone. Okay.
Okay. That's your choice.
I don't do double. No, one at a time. Polygamy? No, monogamy, not polygamy. Monogamy. Final four: JC Lynn, Josh, Marty, Betty. JC Lynn falls next. Quite a while. There we have Josh, Marty, and Betty. What a surprise! I was surprised about actually Marty and Betty that they got that far. I thought Josh was going to fight through and do his absolute best. I thought with Marty's like leg problems, back problems, we see him with ice all the time. And I was like, Betty, you never go far. What's going on, Betty? What? Wow.
We enter the final phase at 5 hours. At the 5 hour mark, we enter the final phase, by the way.
Yes.
5 hours of being up there. They've been pouring water on them. They've done snow on them. They've done other things, right, to make it difficult. At the 5 hour mark, they bring in the final comp. And the final part of the comp is that you have to hold on with just your arms. You cannot contort your body any longer against the wall. You had to hold on with just your arms. And then
those pegs.
This is where correct. And as you just put up on the screen, Sam said he was convinced that Jace was going to win it. This is where I thought Jace was in trouble because, as Jace mentioned, she's a former figure skater. Though her legs are strong, those jumps, those spins, those turns. Now that you're having to hold with just your arms, she doesn't normally do that. So I sure enough, she ends up having a few problems here holding with just her arms.
And she falls. We've got Josh, Marty, Betty. Josh is next. Holy crap. One of the biggest guys, strongest guys in that house. Marty and Betty are the What?
And it was, and Kevin mentions it, speaks about it greatly. Kevin says, this is amazing as a fan watching this because the other one will put the other up for sure.
Yeah.
Kevin mentions that Betty would put up Marty. Marty's putting up Betty. So it's literally, there's no deal to be had here.
We need to talk about this. Listen, Kevin, not only a good player, Kevin, a great narrator, Kevin, great analyst, Kevin, great this man is something.
And you two thought he was going to be out first.
I was so wrong, and I'll take it.
He definitely adapted very, very well. More so than like what a lot of us thought. And I was impressed. What?
I disagree. I don't believe he adapted. I think this was all planned. I'm telling you.
I don't think this was planned.
Because I feel like you also, like the house guest, Josh, fell for his woe is me act at the very beginning because he said it was an act. He knew it was an act all along, was to act as if he was hopeless and helpless. And that's why I think Kevin knew from the first day before he even came to the house that this is my winning strategy, but I have to survive the first couple weeks in order to really put it into play. That's the linchpin about every strategy, right? Not just Big Brother. Every strategy has like a piece where you got to get through this one spot and then you're home free, right? You got the breakaway.
And the thing is that like I knew that like I think Kevin knew the predicament that he was in. He knew he was going to be targeted for the first 2-3 weeks, which I applaud to him that he's actually very aware of that. It's just the fact that like had Herman not gone for Jess, Kevin would have been out first boot. So technically, he got lucky with the person whoever won HOH. Because had it been Josh or Moose in the first week, he probably could have gone up. But that's just what I thought.
I think the smartest thing Kevin has done so far, and he's done a lot of smart things, but I think the smartest thing he's done so far is Helena. I think that partnership, that real relationship, I don't actually think he would cut her. Like I just don't see it. He has the ability to go into that jury if he's at the very end and say, you know what, I played you all and I was loyal. Like that is a story. That's something. I don't know.
Helena and Kevin have both talked about like on the live feeds that like they're planning to take each other to the end. Like they really don't care about it, and like if one of them gets on the jury, they're voting for each other. So,
Yeah.
so like I do agree with you, Sheldon. Like I don't think either of them are cutting. I don't think either of them are cutting like straight each other off. Like I'm pretty sure both of them would cut off Marty than each other.
But also his ability to look at her and her ability, I should also give her credit, to look at him and say, this is somebody I really need to work with. And I think Helena's thought about this is he is always going to be a bigger threat than me. At some point he's going to reveal his cards and I'll be the one that's left. So ultimately, like, I would not be surprised if Kevin leaves and Helena makes it to the end, having taken all of Kevin and her moves. Like, that's why I am really like, not a surprise if Helena wins this game to me. Not a surprise.
I think Helena needs to have a really good final performance because I don't think the jury sees her as a threat to win the game.
What if she has Kevin in the end actually supporting her, pleading her case?
Then I think Helena wins.
Right? So we're about 40 minutes in. We haven't gotten to the HOH yet, so we should probably speed up. We get to Marty won this in 5 hours, 8 minutes. That's a shit ton of time, guys. I don't know how he did it. Really good work. And now my least favorite part of this episode, Kevin's favorite part of this episode, it felt like a funeral. Betty is emotional. She's crying. Everybody's consoling her. But usually when a HOH wins, everybody goes crazy, jumps whether they like him or her or not. They no, nobody says them. And Kevin and Marty says, this is his hat trick. He feels like an outcast. Nobody will control me. I will make my choices. He won HOH. He should be celebrating, and this feels like a funeral. Kevin, why did you like this?
So Betty wins. So Betty falls. And so let's take it back just a half second. Josh falls and he looks up at Betty and says, win this. You have to get this. Because he's rooting for her. Everyone's on pins and needles as they're watching. Martin has his chest out and his arms up and he's holding on. And then Betty falls and immediately crumples into a heap because she knows that every time Martin has been HOH, she has put her up. And she knows that she will be going up again. And she's crying in general, and Josh is the first to hug her, and she's like, I let us down. I failed us, because she knows that it's going to be her and Josh, and one of them had to win it, and they were so close. And as she's crying, everyone consoles her, and Martin is standing there as the winner, but the victor does not get the spoils. Oh. And as Kevin approaches him, he says, congrats on HOH. He said it's one versus everyone. Kevin, the genius that he is, says to Martin, maybe you can make some decisions to help turn them back towards you. Because that's what has happened. Martin has turned them all against him by his own actions. His betrayal of Gino, his backdooring of Herman, his utter just distaste for Betty and lying to her from the first time he put her on the block.
Saying too much information when he should have just kept up very close.
Just put your feet up this week. Put your feet up this week.
Put your feet up.
Right.
That's literally what that is.
Well, so doing all these things, he has created this monster that he is. And he is too afraid that Canada will hate him. But he has done nothing but created the person that they just want out for his own actions. Last week, he was the target because of his actions.
Yeah.
You guys, do y'all think that Canada hates him? Because I don't hate him.
No.
I don't hate Marty as a person.
I feel pity for him. That might be even worse. That might be even worse than hating him. Like, I feel like he doesn't even fully understand what he has done in this game.
I agree.
And how he has impacted.
I feel bad for him too. I feel bad for him too.
No,
hold on, Josh.
That's pity.
Yeah, wait, hold on, Josh. Let me say this. I feel bad for him too, because it's not just that he doesn't understand. He's not making bad game moves. They're not bad moves for his game, but it's all of it's not the end result. It's how he's getting there, right?
Process.
Taking out Herman is a good move for his game. Telling Herman to kick his feet up is not a good move for his game.
Yeah.
Putting Betty up on the block the first time, it was fine for his actions. But telling her she's safe and then going back on that and then doing nothing to repair that relationship for the last 6 weeks is bad for his game. These are the things that he has done. It's not the moves themselves. The moves are good, but it's how you've done them, and you've done nothing to try to fix them. And that's why I feel bad for him, because when he comes out the house, he's going to see, I mean, last time he was HOH, his fight with Summer infuriates me because Summer is telling him, I did not say those things to Jess. And the way he is arguing with her and badgering her and saying, so you're telling me that Jess is lying? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And she is trying to speak to him openly, and he's just shutting her down. And he thinks that he could just say, well, I'll watch it back. And if that's the case, then I'll forget, then I'll apologize. Yeah. But I know I'm right. That's not how you solve arguments.
No, like, I think, like, definitely Kevin, like, touched up, like, why, like, Marty is now considered the most hated person in the house. He's, like, you do, like, if I'm in the house with Marty, if he tells me I'm safe, I'm the target. That's just pretty much what he has done for multiple weeks. And I'm like, especially when, like, in one of the parts of the later episode where, like, he says to Gino, kick your feet up, you're safe. And then JC has a moment.
Said that? Oh, no, yeah. We're in trouble.
I was literally laughing my ass off when she said that. I was like, dang, like, Marty, like, here's the thing. If he just owns the game moves that he is making, he shouldn't feel like bad towards himself. Like, I get, like, the moves that he was making, like they aren't really bad moves for his game at all. It's just the fact that he, like, all he keeps doing is pushing the people that are trying to tell him stuff like, listen, I didn't say this, but yet he pushes them away in a more, like, aggressive manner, and it's making himself a target and making people dislike him. Had he at least, like, listened to what others have saying, he wouldn't be as big of a target as he was compared to last week. But yeah, I think Marty, like, is his own worst enemy, and had he not won HOH, he would have been 100% done.
Listen, I have to give, like, with all this crapping on Marty, which is well deserved, I have to give him one thing. If you guys remember episode 1, when he was introduced, he came up and he said, I am going to be a comp beast. He never said he's going to be the best strategist. He never said he said, I am going to be a comp beast. I looked at him and thought, you're an old dude. You're not going to be a comp anything. Gino's here. Look at all these guys. Kyle.
Yet he won 3 HOHs, and I believe the veto.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a few more and wins some more. Like it is not completely implausible that he wins out the rest of this game. That is not impossible.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a chance to win, even if he does that. But at least he could say that he has a trick.
I mean, not necessarily. I think he definitely
he's drawing dead. He's drawing dead.
I don't think he could win.
He's drawing dead.
I think the only person he could beat is Betty at this point.
Yeah, and he's not going to end with Betty because they're diametrically opposed. They're foes.
Yeah. So basically, in hindsight, Marty has no shot at winning. So smart, so strategic sense, you could take Marty very deep, and hopefully he takes you to the end. But
I actually think this is a really. We should talk about what happened in this episode, but I think if Marty, JL, and Gino stick together, it's going to be a very hard decision for JL and Gino to decide, because it might make sense to break the showmance and take Marty to the end.
No,
I don't think so. Like, I think either of them are not going to betray each other.
You Ember and Rob it.
But hold on. I don't, like, if I'm JL or Gino, I would actually be afraid of the other at the end.
You Ember and Rob it.
But they're not going to get engaged after 2 months.
You didn't know that with Ember and Rob either.
Well, you knew. Well, okay, but hold on. They built their relationship not just over 39 days. They built a relationship over the 7 months since shooting and getting to that finale stage.
No. But Rob Mariano was taking Amber houses. Hey, look out for my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he said to Lex.
Yeah,
like
and that's crazy.
And he gave her a car. You know what I'm saying? Like they were building something there. And I think Gino's there. Gino's where Rob was, right? And
Yes.
You see that love? I don't see any of that love yet.
I mean,
don't from
I
Gino?
see that as like a little bit.
I see it from Gino. I definitely
I
see it
don't
from
see
Gino.
it. I definitely don't
see
see
it
it
a
from JL, but I don't
see it
that.
from JC Lynn.
And maybe they're
definitely see
just
it from
showing it on the feeds, and I'm missing something because I don't watch
Yeah.
the feeds.
I
don't see
like they're definitely
anything.
a lot more affectionate on the feeds than compared to what they're showing in the edit.
So we see Betty really upset, goes into the room with, and Josh comes to console her, wants to bring her a grilled cheese sandwich or make her a grilled cheese sandwich, which was really, really cute. And I love this because the thing that I hate most about Betty's game is my favorite thing about her as a fan, her emotions. She says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go to his HOH room. I don't want to see his stupid room. I don't care that it's that bad for my optics. I love it. This is so Betty.
I mean, like, to be fair, like in Betty's case, like what else more is there to say for Marty? Like Marty didn't want to repair the relationship with Betty, and Marty already nominated Betty twice, so it's just fighting. Like it's just kicking off a dead horse at this point. So like,
you never stop fighting, Josh. Come on.
Oh no! Like I'm just saying, like I understand why Betty doesn't want to do it, but in hindsight, Josh is right. You should be fighting for your safety every single time with someone's HOH. But.
And we end up seeing the HOH room. Nobody's very excited to be there. It literally looks like somebody's at Marty's funeral, watching him put on his outfit, watching him read his letter. Summer's taking a big bite of her chip in the middle of his letter.
I don't even know if it's a funeral, right? I don't even know if it's the funeral. I mean, this is a person that we don't really care that you won. We're seeing your HOH room for the third time. We've seen all your family. We've asked all the questions. We've done this a few times, and we don't really care. But we have to be up here. And so here we are. And
so one of the things, sorry, Kevin, like I get that, but it was, I actually was really upset with how they behaved after he won HOH and during this, because it's just a lack of respect.
Well,
like, I don't, because they don't respect him. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And Marty has done nothing but destroyed any respect that he has deserved throughout this game. So just because you win comps, no one cares. You're not working with people. Seeing your I'm out here playing. I'm playing hard. Just going and seeing your HOH room, I don't really care because we've seen it twice. If this was like your first HOH and you're just like against everyone, then you look like you're petty. This is the third time we've been up here to see the same photos of your wife, hear another letter about how great you are. No one cares.
Yeah, the way that I saw that HOH reveal being like, who wants to see my HOH room? That reminds me of BBUS 12 with Rachel winning her second HOH. And then all of a sudden, like, nobody really wants to go up there. But then they were like, you know what? Let's just do it anyways. Like, that's kind of how it felt like with Marty winning his third HOH this season. Like, I think it got to the point where it's just like, I didn't really need to see it. And
we've seen it already.
Can we move on? Like, fast forward this real quick.
Oh, those are kids again.
Nice. Yay.
Another great letter. Let's see your winner spit again.
Okay, so that's interesting. So it's not but I don't think it's the volume. It's him, obviously, because if Summer would win 3 times in a row, people would still be ecstatic.
I don't know if that's the case. So like let's say Gino wins again, right? Because Gino's won twice, right? Gino's won twice. Let's say Gino wins a third time. JC Lynn's going to be excited. I think the other ones are going to be like, meh, like that's cool. I think they're going to like it more than Marty. Don't get me wrong, because Marty being Marty is a part of it. Don't get me wrong, it is. But it's like if Gino wins, you're like, oh, good job, Gino. Like they're going to be a little bit more excited. They're still not going to be like, this is another retread. Like we've seen this before.
This is kind of like this kind of goes back to what Kevin said earlier in regards to like respect is earned, and I think like Marty pretty much lost the respect of the entire house, and I think why the morale for his third HOH was at an all-time low. So like if Summer won HOH 3 times, everybody would still be ecstatic the first time she won HOH.
We're party. We're hanging out.
Yeah,
we're having a good time.
Yeah, go for it, right? But like, yeah, like definitely the morale and like how you come across to others definitely affects how you like get viewed in the house, especially when you win HOH.
I mean, Sheldon, let's be real. The plan was for him to go home last week unless Helena won, and then Helena won. Like That was the plan, though. That was the plan going in. Everyone was on board. Now everybody's got to just be like, okay, he's still here.
But it didn't happen, and you play the cards that you're given, and if that means you go and you suck up to Marty, so you don't go up, or you do something,
They went up there.
I don't know.
They went up there.
But there was Betty with her.
Betty knew that she was going up regardless. Like, he's put me up twice before. He's made it very clear that he doesn't like me. There's been Big Brother US seasons where people knew they were going up. I'm not even going to fake the funk. I'm not even going to go up there because there's no point in me I would rather go wash some dishes, go make some dinner for everybody, but to come on down and eat. Like, why waste my time?
I mean, like, I wouldn't, but
fast forward a bit, we see King and Queen, King Kevin, Queen Helena sitting there in the corner, eating their fruit, enjoying their position, no stress, no worry. Betty walks by, terrified as heck, knowing she's on the block, pissed and annoyed, and the King and Queen still sit there. Helena says,
even better. She goes outside, they go see Josh, and then Helena's like, let the subjects have their time.
Let them have their it was something to watch because
there was actually one line where like Betty said like you two are like so cute sitting down and having your fruit or something like that.
She says, I quote, love that for you guys. Very
love
romantic.
that for you guys, yeah.
And you see, like, while they're enjoying their fruit and their safety for the week, Helena says she wants Gino out. Kevin says, I think that's impossible. But they start talking about how, they think Josh and Betty will be out. And maybe it would be a good idea, even though they have a final three with Josh, maybe the fact that Josh is, I quote, amazing, and he is amazing. He seems like an awesome guy. And maybe it's time. Maybe Josh's time. Love this. I love it.
I loved it too because they knew all along. I mean, let's go back a few weeks. When Kevin is telling Josh, me and Helena are willing to lose to you. And knowing full well that he's at about 6, this guy's got to go. So he knew that full well. So it's like, well, we would like Gino to go home this week. That would be our plan. But we know that Martin won't do it because he's betrayed Gino many times before. And if we say the right thing, he might betray him again. But at this moment, he has decided no one likes me. Everyone hates me. I will not let Kevin and Helena control this HOH. I'm going to do what's good for Martin. All right, whatever. Then maybe we should look at Josh over Betty because Martin wants Betty gone, but that's not good for our game. So how about we make the lemonade out of the lemons we're given? And it might be time to take Josh out. And I loved it. That was a great idea.
I think I think for Kevin and Helena to discuss on the plan to blindside Josh without him knowing at all is the right move for both of their games, but also more so for Marty's game because nobody's going to target Josh until like around final 6 or 5. So I think the objective to try to like blindside Josh is going to be a little bit tricky, which means you have to wait until after the veto competition to see if the opportunity is there to take him out. So I think it's good for them to have that idea afloat between the two of them and then figure out to see what happens then. But yeah, I think going after Josh for this week would probably be a better move than taking out a showmance, at least for right now. Next week, a showmance has like one of the two, either Gino or JL or Helena or Kevin. Either of them needs to go at 7 because otherwise the other one controls the game.
Look, they have done such a good I don't get it. Like, it's actually almost masterful. Like how they've positioned themselves in a position where they are really at the center, but also somehow controlling what's going on almost every single week, except for when I think the week when Kevin tried to get Gino to go, I believe, and they just weren't going. Josh was refusing. It's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. We see some game talk going on. Gino and Marty. Gino basically says, "Target is Betty." But I'm going to put Josh up right beside them. Marty says again, somehow, I'm your final 2. It would be so amazing if we keep winning this back and forth. My HOH, your HOH, my HOH, your HOH. And then Marty says, put your feet up. And then Gino and JL.
You and Jace could put your feet up.
Put your feet
Both
up.
of you. Put your feet up.
Gino runs down to his wife in the pantry. She's looking for some food. He's looking for something to munch on. And they start laughing about how, thank you, one person got the joke. And they start to laugh about, Gino says, well, JC, we're okay. Gino said, Marty said, just put your feet up. JL looks at him and says, oh no, we're doomed.
Even better. He said we're good. And you know what he even told me? Put your feet up. And she's like, he didn't say that. And he's like, no, he did. He said, put your feet up. We're doomed.
We also see an interesting move or a conversation that Josh tries to have with Marty. I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. Betty and Josh are going to go up. And Josh is quite smart here, I believe. And he starts saying, look, Marty, I need to really separate myself from Betty's behavior. I know that she acts a certain way and does things that, irk you, but don't forget she's one person and I'm a completely different person. So yeah, I know we're friends and we're together, but you can't always put everything that she does on me. Mm-hmm. And I think the strategic move that Josh makes, who I love, we're seeing a lot more DR time from him, and we're starting to see a lot more of his strategy working. Mm-hmm. He starts hinting to Marty, you have to really start thinking about jury management. How are you sending people away? How could I help you with that? Again, I think it doesn't necessarily help Josh get off the block, but what it does is it opens a little bit of a door for Marty. Remember, Marty, we used to work a few weeks ago before you screwed me? We could still work together. I'm still here. I'm here for you. I love this. What do y'all think?
I loved it.
I think it was a good self-preserving move, just trying to distance yourself, but also still be close to your ally. But at the same time, you don't also want to throw your closest people under the bus when really it's just going to make you look worse. So I think it's a good way to... Huh?
I disagree, because Betty's already going up. Martin has made it very clear that he does not like Betty, and he hates her for no reason, but he hates her. This has been clear. So he's not throwing her under the bus at all. He's just making sure, listen, I know that you feel like she has some stank on her. I need you to remember, though, that we are not the same. We are separate. So whatever stinks on her is not necessarily on me. How she feels about you. She didn't want to come to the HOH room because she didn't. She doesn't have any plans to come talk to you because she doesn't. I'm up here. I'm here to talk on both of our behalf, but in a little bit of my own self-interest, I want you to know that I am not the one that hates you. This is why I'm here as the ambassador. But she does hate you.
What I also love about Josh is that he is not playing for anybody but Josh.
Correct.
And he's clearly said that, and he's clearly yeah, I got Betty, she's my best friend, but really, that's not my final two. I need Helena, I need Kevin. Those are my final people. I'll destroy Betty. That's okay. Don't worry. I'll get rid of her if I need to. He is really trying to position himself well in the game. I would love to see a little bit of him doing some stuff with Gino and JC Lynn. I would, because I think that is his way truly forward. If he has a way to get himself in a good spot with those three extremely strong competitors, they don't need Kevin. They won't be able to win that much. It might be a likelihood that they win one HOH. Kevin, Helena, they can't win much. That's just not who they are.
What's hard, though, is that Kevin and Helena have been nothing but true to Josh. So he has no reason to not trust them. And you're right. Yeah. You're right. But and because that would be the best way for him. But there's no way you could see it because these two have been doing. Kevin has done what he can to get him off the block. He has done what he can to save him. As far as he knows, these two are the truest to him.
Until they backstab him. And that's really the move that has to happen. And at some point, their cards have to be revealed. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Wendy's, it's Marty's third time at Wendy's. What does Marty do? He says, no Wendy's for me. I'm going to bring the two people that have yet to go to Wendy's. Let me allow them to go ahead and enjoy this meal. And who does he bring in? He brings in his arch nemesis, Betty and Helena. Classy
Before you get into this, hold on. Before we get into the Wendy's, there's one part you missed real fast that I wanted to speak on real quickly. Helena had the conversation with Marty, and make sure that she reaffirms that she is his number one and they are working together. And that is something that they need to push forward through. So that then coupled with the bringing in the Wendy's and letting her make sure she gets that time by him sitting in there and talking to his arch nemesis, the person that hates him the most, more than anyone. I thought that was a fantastic move because that way he hopes that Helena will still be able to tell him what's going on in Betty's mind without him having to be there.
I mean, yeah, like I think that is a good way to to really put in some goodwill, but also more so focus on jury management with Betty because he's doing a goodwill, being like, hey, you know what? I apologize. Here's some Wendy's. I'll hop out of it if you don't want to talk to me, and then go from there. I think the way that was handled was actually pretty good. Probably one of more so's Marty's better jury management moves compared to what he has done in the past, but that's a good way to sell it. Whether Helena told Marty on the info on what happened with Betty was completely up to her dispense, but it wasn't really shown in the episode, so really I couldn't really tell you for right now.
Well, the thing is, they're friends. Like they talk to each other in the house, so I think there was no game talk. There was nothing to talk about.
Correct.
Fair.
And but on top of that, did you guys notice that Betty ordered a salad, a Southwest chicken salad, and if you didn't notice, Helena
spicy chicken.
eating. She didn't order one out loud. But when they zoomed in on that burger she was eating, I believe I saw a red chicken patty that she was eating. She also got the spicy chicken sandwich. Can you Canadians just eat more beef, please?
I'm telling you, like I said it like on numerous times, it is the staple here. Like that's why people love the spicy chicken sandwich.
Well, at Wendy's, I will say this is such an off-topic thing. There are so many fried chicken restaurants opening up in the GTA in the Greater Toronto area over the last 2 years. It's actually insane. I think there's a chicken thing going on in Canada. There's like 5 chicken restaurants within 10-minute walk of my house, and I live in the suburbs. There's like it's not a city. Like what the heck is going on in Canada with chicken? I got a new one opening up, Mary Brown's. I don't even know who Mary is, but she makes chicken. Holy crap!
I am crying.
So, Big Brother Canada invites everybody to the living room. They all sit down. The lights go a little gloomy and crazy. Kevin, please come to the diary room. Ooh. Kevin goes to the diary room to get what? It's time to get some eviction protection insurance. So before I reveal who got this eviction protection insurance, who do y'all want to get it? Who do you think will get it?
I want Summer to have it. I want Summer to have it badly. I do not trust Martin at all. And I know that Martin is going to go for Summer some way, somehow. And Summer must be protected at all costs. So she needs to be in this house, in this game. She is the only joy of this game at this point. So Summer needs to be protected at all costs.
Excuse me.
Well, hold on.
Only joy in this game.
You heard me. I said what I said.
Hold on. Marty.
I said what I said.
Marty is not eligible for the real estate for the Bel Air Direct protection insurance because he's already won it, which means the people that have won it last time.
And he's HOH.
And he's HOH, so technically he's not eligible for it.
He's not eligible because he won before?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought it was just because he was HOH.
I thought it was because he was HOH.
That was a lock before while the endurance comp was like going in on live. So.
No, I believe you.
Yeah.
I used my VPN and I voted for Summer about 10 times because
I was blowing up myself on Summer because I'm like,
I need to protect Summer at all costs.
Watch your words. Don't need to know what you're blowing up where.
Protect Summer sales at all costs.
So
that's all I got to say.
I have to say that I was a little bit concerned that Kevin would win it. Because I would not be surprised if he was number 2 to Summer just because of his personality. And I think that would have been so dangerous for Kevin's game because it is obvious to everybody in the house that Summer's a character, Summer's a personality, Summer's fun. I don't think it's that obvious with Kevin. And I think that the fact that he didn't win it was a huge, huge win for Kevin. So I was certainly happy that Summer won it. She's safe for that week. Marty, safe for the week. about to fight again. Who knows? We see a nomination ceremony. Surprise, surprise. Marty puts up Betty and Josh. It seemed inevitable. It seemed like exactly what was going to happen. No changes, none of the conversations. Best move from Marty? Probably.
I mean, there could have been a better move, but like,
disagree. There's no better move because the showman's, as far as he's concerned, working with him. Kevin and Lena very obviously working with him. Summer's safe. What other option you got? There's none.
But did the showman's like try to backdoor Marty last week?
No, he doesn't know that.
Correct. He doesn't know that. But I'm just saying that, like, huh?
You can only play with what the information you got.
Okay.
And as far as he's concerned.
I know, but like, I'm just saying from a realistic standpoint is that, like, if you betrayed Gino 3 times, do you really think he's going to want to rebuild that trust with you?
Yes, because you don't have a choice. And maybe that was a fault of Josh and Betty not going into that HOH room and saying, listen, do you know what they were doing? Do you know what they were doing last week? Maybe if Betty wasn't so prideful and she said, let me just explain to you exactly what happened next week. You were going to go. You are so lucky the noms were not changed because it was.
Yeah, I'm surprised Josh didn't throw them under the bus that hard.
Josh is still planning to work with them if he can. Like, that's Josh's goal in the house is to be a diplomat and to be in the middle and keep that as safe as possible, which is smart. So he would not go and blow up the showman's game. That's not good for him.
Except for the fact that at this point in the game, he's like you're right. I get that logic, Kevin. I'd get rid of Josh over Betty. 100%.
I would too.
Like, he is a threat, and he knows he's a threat. Look at him. He's a physical threat. He's obviously a mental threat, a great marine biologist by trade. He's awesome. Okay, so we got our new nominations, Betty and Josh. Everybody who's listening, we're about to get into our live feed portion of this where Josh is going to tell us. You have about 10 seconds. If you don't want to hear what's going on, please leave. But before you leave,
on Friday
for
Sheldon,
yes,
Kylie, Josh,
maybe a few guest stars. Who knows? Maybe Lucas will join us one of these years.
Yeah, and they're gonna go over what happened with the live eviction and the veto ceremony. Make sure you also subscribe, all that good stuff. Josh, hit it.
Okay, so nominations happen. Obviously, Betty and Josh going into, I believe, one of the question rooms. And Betty obviously has not taken it very well, bawling her eyes out. And Josh consoling her, saying that we'll get through this. Goes as expected, but that's just kind of what the outcome happened. Not much talk going on for like the first, but prior to the veto competition. But we did get one little snippet of a conversation that's I believe Marty was I believe that like Summer received some information that Helena, Marty, and Kevin are like working like this. I believe it was Helena or Marty. I don't remember which is which, but I know one of them was telling Summer like about that. Reason being is because they are aware that potentially the 3 of them could go very deep into the game and the rest of them don't have a shot. So Summer is the only person that is eyeing those 3. So potentially when the triple eviction comes, and if she wins, those 3 are in huge trouble. Moving on to the POV picks. Obviously, as you know, Marty can't compete. You have Betty and Josh going up, and we get our 3 picks. So the 3 people that participated in the veto competition were Summer, Gino, and JC Lynn. With those veto picks, it seems likely that, at least from Marty's perspective, that the veto is not going to get used. However, prior to the veto competition, all of them discussed as saying, we're using the veto to save either Betty or Josh and potentially put up Kevin or Helena. Yeah.
Not my Kevin.
Yep. So Summer's trying to push for that, trying to say like, hey, listen, we need to use the veto and we need to make sure we need to get Kevin or Helena out of here because that's kind of where her goal is at. So then we go into the veto competition. Everyone tries to go in to try to go for the POV, and the streak reinvents itself.
Oh,
and the person
Josh,
that won the POV,
it's obviously Josh. It's obviously Josh, right?
Actually,
no, Betty.
No,
Betty won the veto.
Betty won a thing.
Betty won the POV. Horrible news for Marty. Now Betty's going to be going off the block. Now Marty's stressing himself up because originally his plan was like to put up Summer as a replacement knob if Betty or Josh would veto. Summer has the Bel Air Direct, which means his only options are the following four people: Kevin, Helena, Gino, JC Lynn. Right? So that means it's not looking good for Kevin or Helena, because Marty has a conversation with Gino and was like, I'm thinking about putting up Kevin.
Huh? I told you to kick your feet up. I want to make sure I honor that.
Yeah.
You guys are safe.
Yeah. Just kick your feet up.
Sorry, Kevin, add an accent. You have to add an accent.
Yeah.
I don't know the French accent.
Neither do I. I make it up different every time.
Yeah, so Marty tells
Josh, keep your feet up. Keep your feet up.
Relax, have some wine.
So Marty tells Gino, I think Kevin is playing both sides of the fence. Kevin is sitting at a really good spot. He's well liked by everybody. I think he needs to go. Gino was like, you know what, that could potentially be a good idea. He tries to bring that plan into Helena. Helena, being the number one person that she is to Kevin, tries to deflect it onto the showmans with Gino and JL and tries to throw them under the bus. What Josh should have done that round, but decided to be the diplomat. Helena decides to throw them under the bus, saying, we protected you with myself, Kevin, and Josh. We all protected you because those two were planning to throw you under the bus. You should put up Gino or JL, and one of them should go. So Marty is now all of a sudden back to his crazy state and trying to figure out how he can manage this. And then, actually, before we get into that, let me just do a quick snippet from Kevin, because Kevin goes into a secret room. We don't know exactly what that is. Is it a power? Is it something? We don't know. But then he comes out of the room and has a conversation with Josh and says, I miss Jillian. I don't feel like I'm sitting that well in the house anymore. I am now thinking about quitting.
Hold on. He misses Jillian, the person who won BB Can 1? He's in love?
No, his wife, Jillian.
His wife.
Excuse me, it's not his wife. It's his fake ring.
Yes. So let me. This is great. Kevin goes and he gets some kind of a power or something. He goes into a room. He goes to the same room that JC Lynn went into, and Kevin comes out, and there has to be a task, and he has to self-evict, or at least pretend like he's going to self-evict, and it has to look serious. So he goes to Josh and he tells him he's quitting the game. Josh does everything he can to try to make this better. Josh's heart is breaking because he
was bawling his eyes out. It was a poor sight to see.
He goes, then tells JC Lynn and Gino he's leaving the game. Kevin then tells Helena, and then he tells Marty, and then he tells Summer. He tells everyone that he's leaving the game.
What was Helena's reaction?
She was not happy about this. No one was happy. Marty said, I don't believe him. I don't believe he's actually going to leave the game. I think he's lying. But he continues to tell everyone that this is what he's going to do. He then packs his stuff. He gives everyone a hug goodbye. Everyone is heartbroken. Josh is crying. He's extremely emotional about it. Kevin walks to the door. The door's open for him to leave. And then he turns around and says, psych, I'm staying in the game. And everyone's like mad but laughs because they're like, we got real emotion here. But do you know who did not believe the emotion of Josh?
Marty.
One Mr. Martin did not believe. He said, I saw through Josh's fake tears. Those were not real. I did not believe. This is just like Joshua.
Okay, so some people were speculating that like maybe Marsha the Moose would make a reappearance in one of the episodes because they believe that Kevin did a task for all of Canada to receive a pizza party or something in the house. Like, for those who don't know who Marsha the Moose is, it's basically, think of like one of the BBUS mascots that like has to do a specific task. And like if you don't do the specific task, then the house gets a punishment. I forget who the mascot was for the BBUS. But...
There's none of those.
Okay, well that's that's our thing. We get Marsha the Moose, who is just like is like the mascot of the game. But anyways, now we get to the real thing. Okay, so Marty decides to wake up one morning, decides to bring Gino, JL, Kevin, and Helena all into the room.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. How ridiculous and Canadian. It's a moose. Marcia
Yeah.
the Moose. How
Marcia the
Canadian.
Moose.
Shocker. Go on.
This is like our OTEV. This is like our Zingbot. We get Marcia the
Moose. Moose.
Yeah.
His name Marcia.
Yeah, so all four of them come in. Prior to that happening, Helena informed Kevin that it's not looking good for you, that Marty is thinking about backdooring him. Kevin's like, oh no, we got to do something. So then prior, he tries to reaffirm with Gino that, hey, Marty could potentially backdoor him, and try to throw a little bit of paranoia to see if Gino would try to flinch it off and see if things could change. Well, Marty decides to bring all four of them into the room, tries to have an open conversation into the bathroom of the HOH room. Everyone thinks that they're telling the truth on what is being said and whatnot, right? But then Marty decides, you know what? This is a completely hard decision. Whoever I decide to put up is not going to be going home because Josh is going to be the one that's going to be going home. What he decides is to take out a few gummy bears. A few of them are yellow, one is red, and the red one is basically the person that gets goat up. Marty offers to Gino, hey, listen.
I told you to kick your feet. I told you to kick your feet up. You don't have to worry. So you don't have to be a part of the draw.
And do you want to know what Gino says?
It's only fair if I'm a part of the draw. It's only fair if I'm a part of the draw. Everyone's in the draw. I'm in the draw.
Yeah. So Gino
who draws? You know who draws the red gummy?
So then Marty puts in one more red gummy bear, pulls up. So everyone decides to pull out a gummy bear, and Gino pulls out the red one. Thoughts on this? This is absolutely crazy.
I love the fact that Marty said, kick your feet up, and JC Lynn said, we're doomed. And then, lo and behold, Gino was in fact doomed, because whoever Marty says kick your feet up to, he said it to Herman, he said it to Betty. If he says kick your feet up, it means you're going on the block. There's going to be some way you touch the block. On top of all this, we saw the king and the queen look at each other and say, wouldn't it be nice if Gino's on the block this week? I believe it is. But how could we get it done? Gummy bears. Here we are. Here we are.
That was absolutely mind-boggling. That was blowing up on Twitter that Marty is that crazy to do that. I thought, here's the thing. Marty was on the right track that Kevin is playing both sides. He was on the right track. What would have been a better move is potentially to put up Kevin, and then potentially Kevin would have gone home instead of Josh, in my opinion.
So, Josh, you keep saying this stuff, right? But, why would Martin do that? Because Kevin has done nothing but be loyal to him. I feel like you have to remember that when you're saying what's the best move, you're seeing the game completely. We see the game completely.
Right.
You got to remember to see it from the eyes of the person playing. And as far as Martin's concerned, Kevin has been the only one that's had his back. He sees that Kevin has good relationships with others. Don't get me wrong. He does see that.
Yeah.
But we started off this episode with me talking about how I loved that Martin was by himself and one was the loneliest number. But the only person that talked to him was Kevin. Even with Helena. Helena is vouching for Kevin.
Yeah.
And so it's not his best move to put up Kevin, because Kevin's not going to go home. And it would just piss Kevin off.
So
right,
can we work this through? Obviously, I assume Betty used the veto, and obviously Gino went up. Yes.
That was the final portion. Betty won veto. Marty nominated Gino, and then next thing you know, Gino and JL are now sitting by themselves, realizing that Gino should have participated in the gummy bear thing. I'm like, no shit, bud.
So let me ask you.
Out of that. Yeah.
What is the right? Because it seems as though Kevin and Helena are basically the tie-breaking vote. They decide who goes home, because Betty will vote out Gino to save Josh. JL will vote out Josh to save
Gino.
To save Gino. Thank you, Kevin. Summer will obviously have a vote, but the truth is one vote is not as strong as the other two. So ultimately, whatever Kevin and Helena decides is what's going to happen this week. Amazing for them. Do they just get rid of Gino like they kind of wanted, but harm their relationship with Marty? Or do they do what they thought, oh my God, maybe it's a good idea to get rid of Josh? Like, well, what is the right move here?
I think if Gino is up on the block, people will be more likely to vote off Gino than Josh. If the knobs stay the same with Betty or Josh, they would be more likely to vote off Josh. I think Kevin and Helena would have time to think about it.
Well,
the
Thursday.
idea, for
there's
Thursday.
2 more days.
The idea is still out there to get rid of Josh over Gino, but right now the vote is looking like Summer is pushing hard to get rid of Gino. So
Summer wants Gino gone too.
Summer wants Gino gone.
Summer wants Gino gone for the
She
following
wants
reason.
JC Lynn for herself?
No. Wait, Josh. Let me say this, because earlier today there was a conversation that Summer has with Gino. Gino comes as a pitch to Summer, and Summer says to Gino, "Last week you put me at risk. You made me vulnerable to go home." And Gino says, "Well, I knew you weren't going to go home." And she says, "You don't know that. You never knew that. You couldn't know, because you put me on the block and you made me vulnerable. So I obviously don't mean that much to you as other people in this house. You
That's
could have had
fair.
other people vulnerable, and you didn't. So it's going to be really hard for me to determine what to do here." And then she's had a conversation with Betty about how they think Josh is better for her game, because Gino has made it clear that she is dispensable. And that's why that was hard for him to do last week, because by him doing that, it made it very clear where she stood with him.
So
that was hilarious on the fact that like Gino was talking to JL and was like, "I think we could get Summer to sway our way," despite the fact that you literally just told her to her face that you literally do not care about Summer and that you care more about JL to her face. Like, you literally just burned a bridge, and now you're asking for that bridge to help you cross, even though it's like completely like broken. Like, come on, Gino.
What I'm trying to think about this is from Kevin and Helena's perspective, because I don't actually think it matters where Summer votes. Because it matters what they decide, and I assume nothing will happen in the next few days that are going to break them up. So, for me, getting rid of Gino allows JC Lynn to now have an enemy of Kevin and Helena. And JC Lynn is a far bigger threat of winning competitions than Summer and Betty are. So to me, I actually think it does make more sense for them to get rid of Josh this week, because at least they'll be a little bit more protected. And, Summer and Betty will be upset at them. They haven't won anything yet. Yes.
So let's think about it. Let's play it out, right? If Gino goes, who does JC Lynn go to? She can't go to Marty. This is the reason he's up there, is because of herself, as she feels a little bit, and because of Marty, right? So she's only in this position because of Marty. She's can go to Kevin and Helena. Kevin and Helena can spin it as, "Look, man, Gino's too big of a physical threat. We could not risk him not being up there. We love you a lot. We would love to bring you back in. I know you feel betrayed, but he was just too dangerous. It's the only chance to get him." She can go to Summer. She's not going to go to Summer. She hates Summer, right? Like, for relationship reasons, other reasons. She can go to Betty and Josh, but Betty and Josh are going to be appreciative of Kevin and Helena for keeping them.
Exactly.
JC Lynn has no real choice but to go with, but to not try to target Kevin and Helena, because what is she going to do about that, right? So she is a bigger threat alone, but what else is she going to do? In terms of Martin can't play in the next HOH, and Kevin has been clocking that the triple's on the horizon. Yeah. He has been saying that constantly. So Kevin knows that Martin cannot play in this triple if it's next. So I guess it's about the same time every year, I'm assuming.
This would be the perfect timing for them to do the triple, because usually the triples happen around 8 or 9, which means it'll get down to 6 or 5. So I think for them to do the triple now, I think Kevin is on the money.
He knows that the triple's next and Martin can't play. So let's get Gino out of here. And Gino's not not a threat in the triple, right? So if he's gone, then we only have to worry about us. I think that the right move is to get rid of Gino. Just keep Josh. I think, and I feel like I telegraphed this on Friday in me and Kylie's chaotic episode. I think I said that she thought Betty was going to go home. I said Betty doesn't go home this week. Gino goes home on Martin's HOH. Martin says that he is keeping Gino safe, and then somehow I said he was going to be convinced by Kevin and Helena to go after Gino, but instead the Gummy Bears did it. Someone said on Twitter, and I loved it, that Martin doesn't get credit for this move. Red Gummy Bears get credit for this move, and I agree that this is a move. But that's why I think this is the best move for Kevin and Helena.
I think for like Kevin and Helena, like I think right now the best move for right now is to keep Josh in the game, more so because like I think Gino and JL are slowly catching wind that Kevin and Helena are in everybody's pockets. So I think like if you were to cut off Josh, who is going to be staying close to you no matter what, it wouldn't really make any sense to cut off Josh, who was going to stay with you all the way to the end. So it would make more sense for Kevin and Helena's case to get rid of Gino first. And then if the triple happens, and then if you can't keep, and then whoever is up on the block, and then if you can't keep Josh, then you can get rid of Josh into the triple. But I should say keep him for now, and then when the triple happens, and if you need to get rid of him, then you can toss him out there, because more likely the bigger threats get tossed out in the triple.
I kind of disagree with you too.
Okay.
I think I would target Josh very simply because there's kind of two sides in the house, right? On Josh's side would be Summer and Betty, two people that Kevin and Helena aren't that close with. So just from a numbers perspective, I would want to get rid of Josh just to like lower their power in the game, lower their vote power. I don't know. That would be my...
So there's a relationship you have not seen on the show. Summer is extremely close to Kevin.
Wow.
Summer tells
I've noticed that. Yep.
Summer tells Kevin everything,
That's
and so because Kevin has positioned himself with Summer as someone that she can trust, and as her real allies have all gone one by one, Tanisha, Herman, Moose, there's no one else for her to really rely on, and so Kevin has positioned himself as the person for Summer to talk to.
Such a genius.
So he's great. He's great at the game. So by putting himself there, that's good to go. JC Lynn also does have a really good relationship with Helena, and if Helena's able to explain that this was our only chance to get Gino, and it wasn't, and then you do the thing that makes the most sense, right? You get the confirmation bias. It wasn't us, it was Marty. Marty put Gino on the block. What are we supposed to do? What were we supposed to do?
Like, right. And like, I also want to go back to like what Sheldon said earlier, and also like taking out Josh. I think that like you don't really take out Josh now, you weaken Josh first, because then Josh will have no other choice to go straight to your to the people that you believe that you can win over, and then from that point you can cut off Josh. I think cutting off Josh at the head, that means Summer and Betty are just going to be on their own.
Even beyond that, Sheldon, the last thing is that Josh has been committed to you guys.
Yeah.
And so if you save him again, is he all of a sudden going to turn on you? Like, he still is going to be committed to you.
Well, look, here's the problem. Look, in orgs, I love playing the middle game because that's what I play. That's what I like to usually play, and with having a little bit of a foot into somebody who I trust more. But that's the difficulty of playing a middle game, that you are going to be screwing somebody over at some point who really believes in you. Yeah. And they've been able to avoid it for a while, and this week might be the end. So I don't know.
Before we wrap.
Yeah.
Josh wins Veto. Josh wins HOH. What 3 does he put up? Sheldon first.
Josh?
Yeah.
That's a tricky one.
He puts up Marty.
Mm-hmm.
He puts up Summer.
Mm-hmm.
I have to really write this out. Maybe Helena.
He puts up JC Lynn.
JC Lynn. Yes.
He puts up JC Lynn.
Yeah,
if Gino wins, who does he put up? Kevin, Helena,
Marty,
and Marty probably.
Yeah.
So why not Betty?
Because he's not coming for Betty. He's not coming for Betty or Josh. Remember, they have that 4-person deal with Josh and Betty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
so, the person that has broken that deal is Marty. It's not them. The four of them have stuck together. You saw what happened last week.
Mm-hmm.
So if Gino wins, Kevin and Helena are in imminent danger. So that's why you vote out Gino as opposed to Josh.
Don't you think one of the people have to be Marty?
Like, Marty, yes, of course. No, Marty's up there too. Marty. So as I said on Friday, Marty's gone in this triple.
Yeah, basically, that's kind of where it's at.
Unless Marty wins the POV, Marty's gone in this triple.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that, like, I bet, like, whoever wins HOH, except for Kevin, Helena, and Marty, and maybe Josh, they would put up Marty, Kevin, and Helena, and I think Marty and Helena goes, but Kevin stays.
He said whoever wins, as in these three people,
except for those three people and Josh.
You said you took out. There's 7 people. You took out 4 of them. You said whoever.
Okay, well, those made 3, and then you have the trio plus Josh. So I'm just saying anyone who's not in that 4 would put up Marty, Kevin, and Helena.
I also think that the HOH, just because of the short time period, it's going to be a quiz. So whoever knows their like I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Betty win. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Summer win. This could be anybody. This could be anybody. I would love it to be Kevin. But
Martin's gone though if he doesn't win the veto. Martin's gone if he doesn't win the veto. Period.
Oh, facts.
Yeah. Okay, well, this was a lot of fun this week. I have to say,
episode.
It has been. Well, you know what? We started 15 minutes later than usual, so it's not as supersized as I keep on thinking in my head. It's only an hour 15. I have to say that as I was sitting here talking with y'all, this has been a great season of Big Brother. This really has. Although not all of the gameplay, at least for the first half, was wonderful. There are some really interesting characters. There's some really interesting relationship stuff going on. There's some silly stuff that's making what a good season. BB Can 10, great season. And if everybody at home or wherever you are in the car, on a jog, listening to us right now, if you want to hear more about the season, join us again on Tuesday. No, today is Tuesday.
Friday.
On Friday. Oh gosh, it's been a long day. Join us again on Friday, where we will talk about what happened in their episode, who won the veto, whether the veto was used. Spoiler, we all know what happened. And then the triple. What's going to happen in the crazy triple? I don't know. As long as Kevin's still there, I'll still be happy. Kevin, what's going on in your life that you want to talk about?
So for me, check out the DCOM After Dark podcast. Tomorrow, a new episode will be dropping. I don't know if did you guys ever see the Disney Channel original movie Horse Sense?
No, nobody has ever watched that movie.
It starred Joey Lawrence. It starred Andrew Lawrence. It's fantastic. I watched it and we discussed it on the DCOM After Dark podcast. So check that out tomorrow on both YouTube and on all the places you can listen to podcasts. In addition,
where's your other podcasts? You have some amazing podcasts where you do your top 5. I need some top
5. Go. We've been on a hiatus. We'll be coming back soon.
Top 5. Bring it back. I want Candy Bars. I want top 5 Big Brother players. I want top 5 presidents. I want top 5 everything, Kevin.
We will bring back top 5, Sheldon. We hear you. We hear the people. We're getting it together. Right now, we're doing the DCOM After Dark, and we're focused on that. We're knocking out some great Disney Channel original movies. Then also on Thursday, join us as myself, Kylie, and Robbie, and maybe a special guest will be covering the newest episode of Survivor. We're post-merge, so we're going to see what is happening next. Josh, what you got?
Okay, well, first few episodes of Pandemic are already blooming up. Ratings are getting higher and higher as the days go by.
Really?
New episode coming out tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern after the episode of Survivor at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then for the next one coming up on Sunday. So new episodes always coming in Wednesday and Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. The episodes so far have been getting really, really great reviews. And if you want to come back for a future season of Pandemic, applications will be dropped very, very soon. So you don't want to, you might want to stick around because you could be on the big screen if you're not going to be flying down to Fiji to play Survivor. So that's it for me.
Huh?
Wow.
The movies.
So much stuff going on. Some people might be going to Fiji. Some people might be going to Toronto, Ontario, where I live. Well, that's it for us here at For the Fans. From outside the For the Fans house, I'm Sheldon with Kevin, Josh, and, maybe a few secret people who aren't around on camera. You never know. You never know. Probably just my dog. Have an awesome week. See you all on Friday night at 8 p.m. Bye-bye.